into the energy and oil and gas industry. And I also would like to welcome all the young professionals in this session. I want you guys to really come with an open mind. You can ask questions when you're being called upon, but I want you guys to come with an open mind and learn from women and the panelists. I want you guys to really learn from them. You have a whole lot of things to learn from them if you are not in the industry or if you're trying to get into the industry. So come with an open mind. You can ask questions, and if because of our time you're not able to ask questions, we can give you email address where you can send an email address and send them mail and ask some other questions that we cannot accept in this session. So I would really like to welcome everyone, and I want us to know that the president for the EAG 2 is around. That's Dr. Effiom. I think he's part of the participants here. So he would like to really address young people more, and let me give him just 5 minutes to really address young people so that we can just go on from there. Let me see. Yeah, it's there. Dr. Effiom, please, over to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. I mean, depending on where you are all over the world, morning, you're in the US, I guess, or in the Middle East. Morning.
Sorry, okay.
Are you in the US or in the Middle East?
Everywhere. We are hearing all over the world, sir.
All right. Let me thank you for accepting to come in as a guest speaker for our young professionals. I am impressed with what the women are doing all over the world in each of the professions. I'm always very happy to also welcome my sister Effiom, to see her, and it's nice to see you. I was reading something about you today. Was it today or yesterday in one of the magazines or something? So I'm really happy to see you again, to see how you are building the younger generation. Thank you very much. Mounir, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And Karen, thank you so much for coming in. And the president, Mudukwe, we work together. She's my colleague in the office, so I'm very happy with the way she's managing the YP. Thank you very much. I want to welcome all the young professionals who are already here with us. We started like you, and then we started growing up. And I saw my sister Effiom growing up this way and becoming a big somebody that can also be a channel to other young professionals. I'm very pleased to see all this happening in our time. I want to welcome all of you. To Dupe and our team, thank you so much for what you are doing for the industry. I welcome you all. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. I think I'll give Karen the floor to continue with the program and the session. So Karen, are you there?
Yes, I am. So we're going right ahead. Please, Ima, please just of the waiting room so we don't have people waiting. All right, Karen. Can you hear me clearly or
Okay, Karen, I think there's something wrong with your internet connection. So I think people are finding it difficult to really hear you. The line is kind of breaking.
Okay, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So the first panelist I'll be introducing is Yogashri, And Yogashri, I've not seen your face today. Let me check. Okay, I can see her now. Okay, so Yogashri is a senior reservoir engineer for with the field development planning for unconventionals in the land basin. She has also worked as an energy studies and now levels through services. Engineers Week of Boston for 2018 and the Young Award in 2018. She graduated university degree in petroleum engineering and is pursuing her studium in
Karen,
Texas.
if
She's
you
a
can
registered
hear
professional
I think
engineer
your line
at
is
the.
breaking.
Okay, so so I don't know what's wrong with my network today. So Esther, I'll just send you you have a copy of the bio, so maybe you can do the intro.
Okay, let me see. Yeah. But can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, but Yogashri, if you can hear me, over to you.
I didn't catch that.
Okay, so want to do like a brief introduction of our panelists. So we are going to just read your bio and you can give us like a brief introduction about yourself. And I think that was what she was doing, but I think the internet was just messing the whole thing up. And she just read your bio for everyone to have an insight of what you do and who you are. So she's giving the floor to you for you to like just give us a brief introduction about yourself.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Karen, and thanks for having me, Esther. It's a pleasure to be a part of this group and provide any insight as I can or share my experiences with you all. I think Karen did a great job in as far as the bio goes. As far as any other additions, I'm heavily involved with the Women in Energy for SPE International, and now that's going to be a Diversity and Inclusion Committee for SPE International. So be on the lookout for that. And if you are interested in starting your own diversity and inclusion committee in your own professional section, then feel free to reach out to us for those who are SPE members. And I've been very active in SPE, as shown in as Karen has already talked about, and especially on the technical conference. So if you have any questions regarding technical topics, technical writing, or questions related to reservoir and production engineering, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so
Yogashri.
I still don't know if my network is acting up. So Esther.
Okay, let me just read the next person's bio so that we can move forward from there. The next panelist is Winifred Ereyi. Winifred Ereyi is the Women in Technology International Child Network Director and the CEO of Think STEM Foundation, a John Maxwell certified leadership training organization. She has worked in the oil and gas sector, telecommunication sector, and education sector. She's passionate about STEM education and peace building, conflict analysis and resolution. She has a vision to see current and future female STEM professionals equipped with social and emotional skills to safely navigate their personal and professional lives. Strong girls, strong minds, strong world. So over to you, Mrs. Winifred Ereyi.
So hello from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's very sunny here, very hot. I don't know what the weather, I'm sure in Nigeria is hot. I hope you can see me. I was trying to turn down, I shut the shade so you could see me, but I can see I'm kind of a big blur. So I'm into STEM advocacy. I started my career in oil and gas, and I've worked in telecommunications as my bio says, and right now I'm in STEM education. The last sentence, strong girls, strong mind, strong world, that is the motto of our organization. Think STEM Foundation, I founded it because of the gender gap that it exists currently. It existed when I started it 20 years ago. And so it exists in the tech world. So our goal is to actually collaborate with organizations such as Women in Technology International, Society of Women Engineers, to reach out to the community and inspire girls to pursue STEM careers by connecting them to a community and to resources so that they can conquer the barriers to entry, retention, and promotion. There's a lot of research. I do a lot of advocacy work in Congress on behalf of Society of Women Engineers. So there's a lot of research that says that girls, when they are introduced to STEM in a community of other girls, the chances of them pursuing a STEM career is higher than if they do it on their own. So we do a lot of research, and that is available in Society of Women Engineers, or WITI, in Women in Technology Charlotte. Women in Technology, it has 100 networks around the world. So I am the director of the Charlotte network, and I do a lot of leadership training. So you're always welcome to go to www.witi.com/Charlotte to jump into any of our leadership training sessions. So thank you very much, Karen, for having me, and Modupe, and all the other members of your team.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. So our next panelist is Mrs. Effiom Oghogho. Mrs. Effiom Oghogho is a senior development planner with Shell Nigeria with about 20 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. She has worked as a subsurface software support consultant, deep water production geologist, and associate subject matter expert in 4D seismic, and currently in front and development management. She is currently the section chair and has served as programs chair, section secretary, and career guidance chairperson of SPE Lagos section, and was SPE Regional Service Award winner. Oghogho also served as the 2018/2019 NICE Conference Chair, 2017/2018 Oloibiri Lecture and Energy Forum Chair, 2016 Section Chair Dubai ATCE Software Skills Workshops on Strategic Planning, as well as 2016 and 2017 NICE Exhibition Chair. Please, the floor is for you now, Mrs. Effiom. Kindly give us like a brief introduction about yourself, ma'am.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Esther, and thanks, Karen. I'm really elated to be part of this very distinguished panel. Just like Mr. Maiwa mentioned, I'm happy to see that he's here as the president of AAPG. I started my career about EAG, sorry, and then I started my career in, under his wings really over 20 years ago. So it's very gratifying to see meet ourselves so many years later on this platform. So I do appreciate it. So essentially, I was lucky enough to enter the industry relatively early, essentially right out of university really. And over the last 20 years, I've served in several capacities in different companies. My volunteering journey maybe started about half a decade ago But one of the things that has made me more and more of an advocate for other women is to demystify the role of women in leadership, women in STEM, women in the oil industry. When I was growing up, I didn't have that many role models to look up to. They just weren't there. And then unfortunately, the few that were there was always something, about them. There was always some issue or the other. And I think that was based on the situation at the time in many of these companies. So I have come full circle now, grown up to think that, we need to have more female role models. Nobody's perfect, yes, but we need to be much more realistic about what a woman in the oil industry looks like. She doesn't have two heads. She's just like you and I. And SPE has provided an avenue so far, women in energy. So I'm happy to see Yogashri there as well. I'm also representing African region on that committee as well. So that's also something I'm looking forward to. And then aside from that, I use my platform, SPE Lagos section, and even wherever I can in other associations to speak up for women and to demystify what this whole role of women in leadership means. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ma. The next panelist is Nihal. Nihal is a reservoir geomechanics. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name well. Is a reservoir geomechanics engineer for Advantech Waste Management Services. She has more than 6 years experience in oil and gas production operations, drilling waste management, reservoir geomechanics, and petroleum engineering consulting. Nihal is one of the founders and the first chair of the SPE Women in Energy Committee. She's also the innovation chair of SPE Young Member Engagement Committee and a committee member at SPE ATC Technical Committee. She held several SPE volunteer positions within the Young Professionals Committee in Egypt, as well as director on the SPE Egypt section board. So over to you, Nihal.
Thank you so much, Esther and Karen. I'm happy to be here today. I just want to say that in the very first year that we started the Women in Energy committee, I co-chaired with a wonderful woman called Maggie Seliger, and the second year I actually co-chaired with a very esteemed member of the Nigerian section, Esurita. So I'm really happy to be here with you today. Nigeria has like a soft spot in my heart because of Rita, actually. So I've been fortunate to work with Yoshi, actually, and with another person who is very dear to me, who's on this call today, Amber Strock. Hi, Amber. So as you can see, I'm also heavily involved with SPE, with Women in Energy, with YMEC, which is the Young Member Engagement Committee. Please reach out to me if you want to ask me about anything, or how we started Women in Energy and how was it. And yeah, happy to share insights today. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So Karen, over to you. I pray your network works fine now.
Okay, so how is my network now?
Yeah, very okay. Yes.
Okay. Esther, thank you very much for stepping in. So we are going to launch right into the panel session, and everybody on the call, we've heard from our panelists, and then we've seen they all have they're women with a wealth of experience in the oil and gas industry, the telecom STEM in different areas. And then we'll be launching right into the panel session. So the first question I have is for Ochie. So Ochie is Oghogho. I call her Ochie, sorry. Ochie.
Yeah, everybody calls me Ochie. It's okay. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so can you share your personal journey with us? How are you've driven technological advance in your career? What were the considerations that you had to, look out for in choosing your your spouse, balancing family life, your career in your role as a mother, as a partner or a wife?
Okay, thanks very much, Karen. I really fell into geology quite by chance. And what it was I was picking out courses to go into university, and I wanted to go to the furthest university from my parents. I wanted to go as far as possible, at least within Nigeria. So of course I picked, the most glamorous university at the time, what I thought was University of Lagos. And I think I chose some other fancy course and so on. But as time to submit the forms was, I went to a friend's house and she had this really, cool cousin, an older cousin, who was studying geology. Really, really cool, cousin. I mean, I don't know how how you have this cool cousin that everybody, knows is your cool cousin kind of thing. And her cool cousin was in the house that day. And he was drawing his maps. He was coloring in, the different fishes. And he was drawing, mountains and the hills and then the outlays and so on and so forth. And I was like, wow, what is he doing? So he's a geologist. He said that he's in university. He said, yes. And, a course in university that is not arts, because I didn't like arts. I like science. And he could color and paint and do things with, okay, that's clearly for me, because if that's what they do in geology, then that's clearly what, that's all I knew about geology at the time. But then I filled out the forms and I got into geology, to study geology. And of course, I found that I was less of painting with coloring pencils and more of hard science and physics, chemistry, maths, and of course, lots of field work, which was really, really, it was very interesting. And I ended up really absolutely loving it. So much so that even after I got my first job, like I mentioned, I was working with Mr. Maiwa in Landmark Graphics at the time. It was really a software company that was working with a geology software. And I learned a lot there, but I always had this desire to work as a geologist. So I kept on looking out for opportunities to do that until eventually, after several years, Shell came calling. Shell, put out an advert. I applied and I was eventually successful. There were several rounds I worked for Shell for many years. So in terms of talking about what other career, so that's my career consideration. I think from that perspective, it's being open to opportunities, it's having those opportunities and all that. Now, another very important decision that I had to make, and I'm grateful to God that I believe I have, obviously, after so many years, I believe now, looking back, that I did make the right decision, was my choice of spouse. I find that over the lifespan of my career, he has been someone who has been extremely supportive. There has never been a time I've come home and said, I really can't do this, where he said, yes, you can't do it. He's always said, no, you can do it. What are you talking about? Go for it. There was a time I had to go away for a year to go to the United States to get my subject matter expertise training in the United States. And I had these two kids who were much younger. They couldn't go with me to the US. And he was like, don't worry, go, I've got you, I've got this. And he took care of the kids for a whole year. Many of my colleagues have had to either decline such assignments or defer it, or almost carry a whole village of mother, father, nannies, whatever, with them on their assignments because of that kind of thing. It was not even a consideration for me at all, because I ultimately trusted that my husband was completely capable and completely involved in child rearing, and he supported my career. So that has been something that has really, really, really made a big difference to me as a married woman and as a parent of children. There are times I can't come home to make dinner. Sometimes I can, and I do all that I can. And he's extremely understanding. He's never put any pressure from that regard. So I think that's something that women also need to consider, especially young women like yourselves who are coming into the industry or making choices of careers, of spouses, and so on and so forth. Always look for someone who is not competing with you, but is supportive of you, because ultimately makes a very big difference. I think it's the same thing when it comes to parenting. as well, there are many birthdays, unfortunately, that I had to miss because I was offshore or I was on some assignment or something. I've had to miss them. But I think, having, two parents who are completely in sync and having kids that I've had to explain certain things to them, and they've grown up understanding that their mother is a working mother, and I can't always be there for every basketball game. It's what it is, and it's the job that brings this nice gifts that I'm giving you, these toy Xboxes that you are seeing. It doesn't come freely. It comes, at a cost as well. So they have also grown up, and I'm hoping to raise boys who understand that women have their own careers, their own passions outside of the traditional home system. It doesn't mean that I don't cook and clean. Of course I do. It doesn't mean I don't cuddle my kids or I don't hug them and kiss. Of course I do. But there are trade-offs that I've had to make over time, and that's just what the nature of being in the industry. Thank you.
Wow, Oji, that was really insightful. So guys, we've heard for young people like us, we have to be very considerate of the spouses we take, and it goes a long way in our decisions. My next question is for Yogashri. So as a young woman just beginning to build a career, what are the necessary steps you've taken to have a successful career in STEM? I know you graduated from the university in 2015, but in 5 years, you've made so much impact. What principles would you advise to enable breaking the glass ceiling and advancing in roles in the technical space? What were the major things, major highlights you can point out were necessary in, ensuring you climb the ladder of success?
I think I caught most of that. Thanks, Karen. When I hear about the glass ceiling, I don't think about it as one person trying to break it. I think about it's multiple women that have made a mark or that have made an impact in the industry, and everyone has made a little crack. And sometimes it's the next generation or it's next few women that actually break the glass ceiling. So I think it's a collective effort. And I think the steps that have helped me as far as being able to do the things that I've been able to do to date were getting that collaboration, seeking mentors. They were not just necessarily women, but they were mentors in SPE. I was fortunate to have had a mentor before I entered in university who introduced me to all these SPE events in the Gulf Coast section in Houston. I learned the importance of networking. I learned the importance of all the events, the significance of SPE short courses. So being involved with SPE early on helped me a lot in taking advantage of all the resources that professional organization had to offer, helped me open up to more opportunities. The second thing that I think that helped me was I kept an open mind. When volunteering opportunity, if there was any contribution I can make, such as being a moderator for a student chapter event or serving on a panel, or if I was invited to go or to write a paper, or if I was advised to write a paper and present at a conference, I took every advantage of that because I thought that would help me improve either in my professional skills or in my technical skills. I took those opportunities that the professional organization provided for me to improve on those skills. I thought about what skills I needed what skills I needed in order to improve myself as a professional, and then I took those opportunities. So if you have any of those opportunities available for you, or if you have any events that you are aware of, I would suggest you strongly consider being a participant of them, or strongly consider reaching out to somebody and asking them how you can get involved. You'd be surprised what opportunities there are for you in that realm. So that's what I would say that's helped me. It was through mentorship, it was taking advantage of what professional organizations provided, and it was keeping an open mind.
Okay, so we've heard yoga, so we have to take up mentorships. I mean, they help a lot, and it's good for those of us that are here today on the EAGE platform. This is an opportunity to network with really brilliant women. and then, you know, try to take as much nugget as you can from here. So my next question is for Nihal. How do you think more women can participate in the industry and be employable in the energy sector for jobs, internships, and you know, generally creating opportunities to develop their career?
Okay, so I think there are like two ends to this question. You know, you have to have women that you can select from. So the first step would possibly be pushing more women or inviting more women to join STEM. And this can be done by having role models, be there and just sharing their experience and telling them that it's not intimidating to be an oil and gas engineer or geologist or whatever. The second part is to be supportive for women who are already in the career, because more often than not, women who are already in a STEM career are not working in that field because of many reasons. Probably something that Effiom touched on, having a supportive partner, or maybe having to sacrifice something for the family, having a supportive environment at work, stuff like that. So we kind of need to touch base on both ends of the equation to have more women in the oil fields and have more opportunities. And one thing that I can promise each and every woman in the world, that you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail miserably. And first thing to shake off this failure is just to move forward. I've heard someone said something that was quite interesting: fail, 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 and then rise like a phoenix. So this is what you need to do. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks for that, Nihal. So my next question is for Winifred. So do you think women will be allowed to fully partake in the advancement of science and technology, and then, you know, try to make a difference in the technological world? What challenges did you face? Because I know you're the chairperson for the Women in Technology now. So what particular challenges did you face, you know, trying to advance as a woman in technology?
So the question really, I would like to reframe the question. The question really is not, will they be allowed to? We're currently in the fourth industrial revolution, which is characterized by a merging of the physical, the digital, and the biological to create a cohesive system that thrives on interconnectivity. So this is an example of it. There are people from everywhere in the world connected here. So it's not a level playing field, really. You know, there's access, we have access, and that is the challenge. The challenge is that from education to health to labor to income, there are women in marginalized communities that do not have the same access that we have. There are people who you will see in the villages in Nigeria that do not have the access. They have the potential, but they do not have the access. So that is so the question really is how do we give women access, which is a global problem. And that's what a lot of foundations like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, John Cook's Foundation, a lot of foundation, and like my foundation, that's what we're trying to do. Our goal is to build the tech talent pipeline so that we will have minority female engineers pursuing STEM careers, but not only minority female engineers within the cities that have access to technology, but we're going even out into the outskirts to say we want to look at the women, the girls in the fringes. In Charlotte, we call that the Title I schools. So reaching out to these schools. So the question of allow is not the right question. That's why I want to reframe it is what can we do to give those women access? So to give them access so that they can be players in the fourth industrial revolution, we have to do what a lot of them have said. We have to do a lot of outreach, which is why my foundation, what we do is We collaborate with Society of Women Engineers. We collaborate with Women in Technology International. We look for sponsors so that we can do a lot of outreach. So what sort of challenges have I faced? Well, in my early career, I started my early career with Schlumberger, and in Schlumberger, I was their first Black female engineer. So at that time, there was a lot of macho mentality where there was this idea that engineers were people with physical strength, not really mental strength. So coming into that environment, there was kind of a barrier. You know, it was a boys' club and I didn't have access. So I had the intelligence, that's why I was hired. But you know, I did not take part in a lot of the activities, and a lot of transactions don't occur in the office. They occur in a lot of smoothing that people do, maybe when they go to the parties or they go to the pub here or they go to the golf course here. That's where a lot of transactions occur. So what happens there is that you get in, but you're not giving access. And for me, it was also environment that aligned with my value system and an environment that challenged me in the area that I wanted to. So initially it was access, but as I continued to progress, I was challenged with the fact that I wanted to move out of technology into management, but because there were a few people that looked like me, it was very difficult to make that sort of move. And that's one of the reasons why when my beautiful two children came, I decided to step out of the corporate world and solve this problem and set up Think STEM Foundation to encourage more girls. Because if there are more girls doing in engineering, then you don't need the token black girl to be your poster child for your organization. It now becomes not a big deal to have a female as an engineer. So in my mid-career, so my issue really was that knowing how to navigate the tech workforce was a challenge, and a lot of the panelists have talked about mentoring, how mentoring is one of the solutions to that problem. I always say a female must have a board of directors, you must have a sponsor, you must have a mentor, you must have a coach, and then you must have, you know, somebody that just brags on you, you know. So you must have 4 key people on your team, because you need somebody, you know, to champion your cause. So when people are talking about you, you need somebody who's your ally, or when there's an opportunity, you need somebody to promote you, because sometimes you just cannot promote yourself, and sometimes you don't have access to the sort of places the sort of job you want. So you need a champion, you need a coach that is kind of performance driven, that will help you get from where you are to another place in order to achieve your goals. And you need a mentor that will work alongside you, and kind of you need a friend to help you distress. So navigating the workforce was a challenge for me in my mid-career. Now as an entrepreneur, getting people to sponsor my courses, getting people to invest in my foundation, in the work I'm doing in the community, trying to be a game changer, selling my vision, that is a challenge. So you find that throughout the trajectory of a woman's life, she's going to have challenges. But like one of the panelists said, you know, life, that's the journey of life. You fail, you rise up, and you fail. There's a book that John Maxwell, my mentor, I'm a John Maxwell certified coach, he wrote called Fail Forward. I would recommend it to anybody because it was a game changer for me. And that is something that every woman, you must have people that inspire you, so that when you are down at your bottom, you know how to rise up. You know what resources, what tools you need to pull together in order to get the results that you want. So that's the journey of my life so far. But I'm sure I'm going to meet challenges in the future. If you ask me the same question in 2 years' time, there will be another story. But it's an interesting journey.
Oh, thanks for sharing your story, Winifred. That was really, really impactful. Hello? Okay, so my next question is for Ochie. So what support have you seen or come across for women in energy and tech, you know, to enable them combine family and work? Have you come across maybe companies or the government, or are you aware of any support in place so that, you know, they can run both lives?
So many companies have schemes in place, maternity leave. If you work for one of the bigger companies, you might have a creche in the same building as yourself, parking, maybe you may have a parking space for expectant mothers in some of the really big companies, if you know, and at least I've seen one or two, but those companies are unicorns. They're not by any means the standard. And unfortunately, I even see there's a bit of a double standard because there are times when you, as a woman, you even try to access those kinds of schemes, like even maybe work from home or take a day off work or something, or you need to leave some kind of flexibility in your working. You find that there's a bit of a double standard because though the schemes are there, you're actually afraid to take it so that you're not penalized. I know women who have gone on maternity leave have delivered, you know, um, almost breakthrough work in the 9 months of the year, working, you know, to almost till the minute you're about to give birth, and then you go away for 3 months and come back, and then your performance is like, well, you know, there are other people who were there for a full year, forgetting that, you know, every year it's about a contract between you and your organization about what you are going to deliver. So which means maybe you've delivered something of 12 months, you've delivered it in 9, but because you've not been there for the entire 12 months, it's looked at as, well, maybe you've not really performed as well. I've experienced both extremes of that. So in terms of having support schemes in place, yes, many companies have them. In terms of how much women can actually rely on them to utilize them, that's a bit of a different story. Now, the other thing you asked is about support systems. I find that, I think that was part of my introductory remarks, is women really, and I think Winifred said the same thing too, you need a support system. You can't go it alone, right? And the minute we stop trying to be everything to everyone at every time, the better for you, better for us. You do need a support system, especially if you're going to work in the oil industry. There are times when, you know, if you have a very demanding job that takes you to the field all the time, you're going to need, you know, support system to put in place for your home, such that, you know, things can also run in your absence. I always say women can have everything, they can have it all, but maybe not at once, not at the same time. So there are times when you give, there are times when you take, there are times when it's going to be really, really actually quite difficult. But being comfortable with making, when you make that decision and being at peace with it and say, you know what, no, I'm going to prioritize my family for the next year or something, or two, or whatever, or you know what, this is the time to put my foot on my career for the next few years, or my studies, for example. I know women who have done amazing work with further studies, or their foundation, like Winifred said, or, you know, their volunteerism, like Yogashri said. You know, you want to spend time to do that, it takes time to do that, and then you prioritize it for whatever reason. But you have to come to a place where you are at peace with those decisions and also with the consequences, because there might be some positive or maybe not so positive down the line. So that's my view on that. Support systems exist, but you have to create your own. And then even with that support system, you still would have to make some choices at some point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Oji, for that response. So it cannot be overemphasized. As a woman, you need a support system, your family, your spouse. I remember the first time I met Oji, that was the first thing I heard her say in my life. She was mentioning about her son and then how involved he was in SPE. I was in school now, but I mean, it's a beautiful remark for the journey we've had together. So the next question I have is for
Hello.
Yogashri. And hello, can you hear me? Okay, so
Yes,
the
I can
next
hear
question
you.
I have is for you. Okay. And that's going to be the last question for her because she has to run along, sadly. So, Yogashri, do you think it's easier to approach? I mean, we've buttressed a lot on mentorship during the
Johnny,
course of this
vamos.
conversation. So, do you think it's easier to approach, you know, a male mentor than a female mentor, or somebody for guidance, basically in the industry? Do you think it's easier to approach a male professional colleague for guidance than a female? And if the answer is no, we would like to basically know why.
Sure. I really like this question because I was thinking about, I mean, is it really because if it's a male or a female, or is it because there's a personality difference, there is a communication style difference, or there is a leadership style difference, and if there's trust involved with it too? I would say that I am more comfortable in reaching out to somebody that I've trusted, or that I know that I have a social style or communication style that is very compatible with, or that I know that that I know that they might have the best interest in me. So from my experience, it wasn't necessarily if it was a male or a female, that was somebody that I was more comfortable with. I do think that because there's not too many women, or there are not too many female role models in the industry, there is some difficulty as far as there's a hesitance to reach out to reach out to women. And maybe it's because there is an environment that doesn't foster those kinds of that kind of network or that kind of connection. I think when you start working on projects with other women, or I think if you start working on opportunities that provide that networking and collaboration, you start realizing that everybody essentially wants the same thing, or you might have more in common than you think. And that's probably the first step into gaining trust. I found that I was able to get trust by working on a project with somebody, by lending a hand, or offering any help that I can provide, and even just asking questions. You wouldn't realize how special you can make someone feel when you ask somebody about their expertise and ask somebody about their opinion. Once I started doing that, you can start making a lot of friends. When you start asking questions and genuinely have an interest in that person, then you can start gaining a lot of trust, whether if it's a male or if it's a female colleague. Two books I recommend are How to Make Friends and How to Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And that's helped me a lot because I underestimated quite a bit on the importance of some of the tactics that the book used. And then there's another book called You Just Don't Understand, How Males and Females Communicate Differently. So that's why I talk about there is a difference in social and communication styles that people need to take into consideration before they reach out to a colleague, and whether if they trust them or not. And if you keep in mind that, you know, there are differences in social and communication styles, that reduces a lot of misunderstanding, and asking questions can help create a lot of clarification and reduce a lot of mistrust.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. I have a question to Yogashri, ma'am.
Karen, you have a question for Yogashri personally or another panelist?
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
I need to go to I actually need to head out, but I know there's an open panel session, or I think there's an open session at the end of this, correct?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate the time. Unfortunately, I do have to head out and go to my go to another commitment. But thank you so much for the invitation.
You're welcome, Yogashri.
Hello, ma'am.
Thank
I
you
have a
very
question
much
to
for
Yogashri,
joining us.
ma'am.
So Zia, there'll be a time for the question and answer session. So can you not disrupt the meeting and come on that time? Thank you. Okay, so the next question.
Hello, ma'am.
Next question I have.
Hello, ma'am. My doubt is
please
not
just
clear.
give me a minute. Let me...
Zia, go ahead and ask
Hello?
your question, please.
Zia,
Go ahead and
okay,
ask your
what's your
question. Yeah.
But Yogashri, ma'am, is not there.
Okay. Okay, as she mentioned, she had to go to another commitment. So maybe there will be another opportunity to ask, or maybe you can send an email or ask her on LinkedIn.
Yes, yeah, you can check the chat section. A couple of LinkedIn handles were dropped. So you can check for her own, or check her out on LinkedIn and then ask a question directly if you need to engage with her. So apologies everyone for that disruption. So the next question I have is for Nihal. So how do you get comfortable fast? How do you get in a room with mainly men, especially Nihal gets me?
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna repeat the question. How do you get comfortable fast with a room full of men, especially if you wear hijab, right? So let me just tweak this question. I'll answer how to walk in a room and own it. It doesn't really matter if you have hijab on or not. And it doesn't really matter what you represent. Sometimes it's hijab, sometimes you're an African woman, sometimes you're Asian woman or a minority, right? So work on yourself and gain confidence. Confidence is your best accessory. The only thing that you need to wear well is your confidence. Be prepared, know your worth, and just, be there. The only thing that actually helped me to do that is just, again, being prepared and knowing what I stand for, knowing what I have to offer, and just going with it. Don't think of them as men, really. Just think of them as people, as professionals. You're not in the, it's not a dating thing, or it's not a dating event. They are not men. You're a professional, they're professionals, and you're there to add value, and you will add value. Be greedy, ask questions. They will know you're intellectual. Be intimidating, because to them, women are always intimidating. If it's a man, he's curious. If you're a woman, you're intimidating. So be intimidating. There is nothing wrong about that. And just own it, girl. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so be confident, be professional, and be intimidating. Okay, so my next question is for Winifred. So, and the question is, how do we desensitize people, especially African parents, to not be partial in the way they treat children? So I'm aware that that will be one of the initiatives of Think STEM Foundation to encourage people, ladies, to be more involved in STEM. Do you think there are ways that governments, industries are taking, keying into this vision to try to establish this dominance and encourage active participation of women in STEM?
Questions by telling some short stories, because people remember the stories, not necessarily the data. And I can tell you that for me, the reason I got into STEM was because a female, Dr. Mrs. Olumaduka, my friend's mother, came to my secondary school, Queen's College, and talked about her career, and she talked about what it takes to get to be an engineer. And I did a beeline after she talked, and because she talked about the subjects, and I loved those subjects, but I did not know how those subjects translate into a career. I'm very good friends with Mrs. Olumaduka now, and I tell her that she beats me with the outreach bug. So in order to desensitize parents, it takes a lot of outreach. You cannot just reach only the students, which is very important. Going into the schools, I partner with the high schools. You must reach the parents, because we are influenced by our environment. We are influenced by our family of origin, and that influence is so strong that if you don't reach the parent first, the parent can sabotage the child's desire. So reaching the parent, but reaching in the parents in a way that the parents understand. So we know that the female engineers are smart. We know they know a lot of all this technical language, but that sometimes is speaking over the head of a parent. But when you start to talk about how engineering impacts the community and what engineers do, and you start to talk about the return on investment, I will tell you that because I pursued an engineering career, I have significantly changed the trajectory of so many members in my family and so many members in my community. I mentor over a team of engineers in Nigeria as part of Society of Women Engineers global ambassadors in Nigeria. So because of Mrs. Olumaduka, who came to my school, she's impacted my life, impacted my family, and impacted my community of influence. So the way you desensitize people, whether it's racial tension, is knowledge. You educate people because knowledge is light. The absence of knowledge is darkness, and what stops people from moving forward is fear. And so once you shine the light, that fear dissipates, and all of a sudden, doors open. And so doing outreach, I will encourage everybody on this in this meeting to really look at a school in your neighborhood and just say one day a week or maybe one day a month, I will go to that school and actually share what I do, not in elaborate words, but in words that children can understand and relate to, using everyday things, just even like the can. You know, I remember as a child, we used to make cars using cans of tomatoes and make cars. That is engineering. So using very simple things to actually share your passion and your love. Once you begin to do that, that is how you break those barriers where parents are favoring one gender over the other gender. And when they see role models like you, Miss Maduka was the first female I saw who was an engineer, and she's changed not only my life, but so many people. I'm sure some of you know her. So really education, 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 outreach, outreach, outreach. Like I said, I also go to Congress, and the people I talk to, they are guys. You know, in the House of Representatives, the Congress people, there are very few women there. So, but once you begin to talk to them and tell them about policies, you have to have policies in place. So just talking to the girl in this classroom is not enough. You have to cause change at a national level. There has to be policies. There has to be funding. You have to fund initiatives that promote STEM in the rural schools. So here we call those Title I schools. So we have to go after resources. In order to do these projects, in order to do outreach, it costs money. So you have to go to the government, you have to state your case, and you have to get the money so that you can put the girls in areas where they can make significant influence. And so when parents begin to see girls being able to bring money home, that is really, really significant, of course they will start encouraging their girls to pursue engineering and any career, because at the end of the day, dollars has a language of itself. So you don't minimize the language the return on investment of education has. So those are some of the things that you can do.
Okay, thank you very much, Winifred. It's not enough to tell just ourselves the story. We have to get everybody on board. My next question is for Oji. So why do you think it's difficult, or is it difficult for women to rise to the peak in their careers? And then those that manage to rise in the peak, people see them as bossy. Nigeria as a focus, what do you think we need to do right, so it's, you know, to create an easy advancements for women in their careers? Because I mean, a woman advancing in her career translates to the nation advancing, because, you know, a woman is the mother of the nation. So basically, what do you think, you know, makes it difficult for women to progress, to rise to the peak in their careers?
Okay, so I reflected on this quite a bit, and the question is very nuanced. Women do rise to the peak of their careers, so it's not like they don't. Where women struggle is when we, I won't say they, when we are not always honest with ourselves about our choices, right? And thinking that, you know, it's just going to happen. You still have to be very deliberate about your career. There are headwinds, so there are many obstacles that you're going to have to jump as a woman. And I mentioned some in my introductory talk where I talked about, you know, yes, there's some biases that women face that maybe men don't have to face. So those things are there. When I was growing up in my career, for example, I didn't even have a clue that those things existed until I started to experience them. And I became really, really curious that, you know, you would see two people. One does all these things, does them pretty well. The other does half of it. But you know, it's almost like the yardstick by which people are being judged typically changes depending on what side of the gender divide the person is on. You know, a man would take his kids to school. If say a man comes to meeting, look, I'm leaving this meeting right now. I'm going to take my son to school, my son to the clinic, and it's like, wow, what a hero. You know, he's such a hero. He's a real, you know, that's, you know, very, a woman does it, it's like, are you sure she's even committed to this job? You know, so you see a lot of double standards going on. And those are based on biases. So those things are real. So it's not as if women don't get to the peak of their careers, they do, but it's challenging. And I mentioned again, I talked about making choices. There are choices you're going to have to make. There are times when, you know, you have to make it to decide. I was a geologist for many, many years, for example, and I love it, still do. But I had to make a choice to say, if I really want to be competitive internationally, I have to leave the job that I love and do something that I don't know anything about. And I continued to fight for the opportunity and fought and fought and fought and begged and put my hands up and so on and so on until I got the opportunity. And of course, in that opportunity, like Nihal said, I mean, I'm not great at it, obviously, because I just started. So being kind to myself to know that I have a learning curve, you know, but when you make a decision like that, right, you also have to be aware of what the consequence of those decisions are. So women who work in the oil industry or work in any industry for that matter, many times there are many biases that come with perception, that come with, you know, even traditional culture and so on and so forth. And they're there. How you deal with them is a different, you know, is what determines how successful you're going to be. You can't have everything at the same time, but you have to decide what path you're going to go on. So that's where I would leave it for now. You also talked about when women do reach the top, why do they see them as bossy? I'm really, really, really happy you asked that question, because that's something that I want us to dispel here. Luckily, this is a women's group. So I want us to commit something today to stop this myth of women don't like to work together, or women don't like each other, or women don't get along. We need to stop that. If you don't get along with somebody, you and the person don't like each other, it's not because she's a woman, okay? I've had women who I've worked with that we've got along fine. I've had one or two women, not even many. In fact, not even many, funnily. You say, oh, we had a disagreement. But I've also had disagreements with men. You don't see two men fighting and then in a boardroom or in a meeting room, and they leave the meeting room and they're like, I'm never going to work with another man again, because that's how men and their egos. No, they don't. They don't internalize it the way we do. So let's stop it. Because you didn't get along with one boss does not make her the representative for all the female bosses in the world. So I want us to promise ourselves here that going forward, we need to put that myth down. It's not that women don't work together. I mean, I can see Karen, I'm looking at Karen, and Karen and I work together just fine, you know, and she's not the only one. So let's not, you know, perpetuate that myth. It is a myth. It's not the truth. So that's something I want to say. So when you say, if a man sees you as being bossy, okay, you know, yeah, so what? You're the boss, aren't you? You're a boss in some way or the other. Whether you're bossing your home, or you're bossing your family, or you're bossing yourself, you are. So just like Nihal said again, she said, you know, be intimidating, carry it. Yes. Some things you own it. Don't try and fight it and say, no, I'm not bossy, I'm not bossy, I'm just being, no, yes. What about it? You know, so there are certain things that you you get further by just owning it and just wearing it like a jacket and taking it on from there. So yeah, so in terms of saying advancing ourselves, I like what Winifred said about, you know, reaching out to women. So those of us who are a little bit more privileged in terms of having more education should do more to reach out, because that's what is going to make that difference. We need a ground swelling of educated women. We need a ground swelling of women in STEM to really make a difference. They're just what, 55, 50 something of us in this call here, for example. But this was a call that went out to, you know, hundreds or even thousands. And I'm not discouraged by it at all. But even each of us should commit to also reaching out to others and bringing as many together as possible, because that is what is going to make the difference. It's I think it was Yogashri that said it, that, you know, talking about breaking the glass ceiling. We may not break it in one generation, we may not break it in 1 year or in 10 years, but each of us that gets there and does a fantastic job cracks it just a little bit more, breaks it just a little bit more, until at some point we'll now see that it becomes a thing of the past. It just becomes the way we do business. Thank you.
Wow. Thanks for that, Oji. We might not break glass in this generation, but for every strike at it, you know, we keep breaking it, cracking it bit by bit. Okay, so my next question is for Nihal. So I know you, from your background, you're a reservoir engineer, but I don't, okay. The question is, let me just read the question out. So it says, what technological advancements can be applied to environmental sustainability? And I thought it would be best for you.
Okay, so I'm not actually a reservoir engineer. I'm a natural gas engineer. And I had to learn everything about reservoir along the way. When I first came into the office, my manager gave me this huge book, the Schlumberger book of reservoir stimulation, who he wrote the foreword to. And I just opened that and I did not understand anything. And I just tried and tried and tried until I made it as a senior reservoir geomechanics engineer. So about the environmental sustainability. So I'm not an expert actually in this, but I'd say like renewable energies, the new thing with the 3D printing using vegetable oils and stuff like that. What I'm an expert in, and I've been working on throughout my career, is how the oil and gas industry can help the environment, which is basically what we do as a form of waste management when we take the waste material from drilling and from the spent frac fluids and re-injecting it to the subsurface formation, where we do the geomechanical analysis of the formations and pick the most suitable formation that won't leach anything into the hydrocarbon resources or the water, the underground water. Also, there's something as CO2 sequestration and methane sequestration. We can inject also the hazardous material in class 1 wells where we don't frack the formation. There are like lots of ways that the oil and gas industry can help the environment, and they're not being marketed for some unknown reason, because everyone would like to share their vision of, you know, transforming everything to completely renewable energy, which I'm not against, but it will put us out of business. So yeah, I'm kind of a little bit biased when it comes to oil and gas industry. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. My next question, Winifred, is for you. And the question is, do you think, how can more ladies get involved in programming, data science? I mean, everybody says data is the new oil now. So do you have any tips for those of us that want to diversify, and then how to experience?
You kind of muted yourself before the question played out, but I kind of understand the question. And I know I kind of reframe your questions, you know, so that the questions are empowering. One of the things when I talked the first time is that this is a level playing field. the world is connected. This is a knowledge economy. There is data, there's Coursera, there's Udemy, and these are free, especially because of COVID. There's an abundance of information. So really, the idea is, the question is, how can we empower women to be proactive and go out there and get information, not wait for somebody to spoon feed them? And so I go back to outreach. Being proactive is using your initiative, being proactive is so important if you want to work in the tech world, because things are always changing. If you learn, I started with basic tech 3 decades ago. Right now, the languages are so different. So you have to go out and get information. Educate yourself, self-directed learning. That is the name of the game. Education has changed. The way we educate young people today is project-based learning. We use the Harkness method. We don't use the rote method where there's a teacher there teaching the child. You actually ask the child to go out into the internet because the knowledge is there. It's free. My daughter, when I talk to her, she opens her phone and she says, Google, what do you think of what my mom says? Because she has Google right there. So that is the reality of the Gen Z world. There is knowledge. Children are being trained differently. 7-year-olds can program. So in Nigeria, there are so many people who are offering coding, free coding camps. I did an outreach in Nigeria on February 15th. We reached out to over 1,000 girls, and we're going to be doing more outreach from Charlotte. So there are so many people who understand the gender parity issues, and they are really pumping a lot of resources because people like me are going to Washington to advocate. So the resources are there. So you really encouraging girls that the resources are there. They may not know. And I said, knowledge is power. They just may not know that you can go on Coursera and in 12 weeks, you can learn how to program in C. And they just don't understand that C, learning to program, is the same thing as knitting. If you like to knit and you can follow step-by-step instructions, that's what program is. It's all about learning how to think differently. So the more we do outreach and the more we go into the community and show the similarity between programming, between data science, how important data science is in the world of human trafficking, in the world of domestic violence, being able to track data, analyze data so you can find perpetrators. Women are always into doing something that impacts the world. So when you begin to meet young people and begin to tell them that engineering and tech is a game changer, that what they are doing in the kitchen translates very much into STEM, you begin to get them inspired, empowered, and once you give them resources, they are ready to go. So the question really is that the information is there. We need more of you to go out there after this meeting. I need each person to have somebody they are mentoring, somebody they are equipping with resources so that they are ready to be a game changer, a catalyst for change. Because there's an African proverb that says, if you train a woman, if you train a man, you've only trained a man. But if you train a woman, you've trained a nation. So let us make it a reality. Let us own it. Let's not just come to meetings and talk about it. Let us get the information and go and look for the resources and form groups and teach one another. I know Peace Ipotokin, she's a Society of Women Engineers doing amazing work in Nigeria. I don't know if she's right here, but she has a group of 100 young engineers that we talk together, and I train now on leadership training. I've trained a group of women in Nigeria, and they are going out into the schools to share their passion for engineering. And as we begin to share our passion, and we begin to show young people where they can get resources, then it becomes a non-issue. So that's my encouragement to everybody here. Be the change that you want to see. Don't just hear this story. Be the change. Take ownership of the problem and go out into your community and be a change agent. I want to shout out to my friend Yuen Chong. He's all the way from Singapore. He's a peace builder. But that is the story we are telling people. You can be a change in your community, whether it is in conflict resolution, whether it is in empowering people to learn how to program, because the return on investment is so high. Immediately they get jobs, they can actually impact the community and reduce the violence in the community. So we need more people doing grassroots work. That is my answer to the question. I'm so passionate about it, so I can talk about it for hours, and I'm sure you can share my passion. I hope I've inspired everybody to own this problem and go out and inspire a girl to learn how to program, become an engineer, become a data science analyst, go out there and be a change maker. The world needs you.
Wow, thanks for that, Winifred. So be the change you want to see. So just to demystify some of the myths we've addressed today, Ochie, I know I've worked on different platforms, and she has been a great mentor, I must say. And I met Winifred, Nihal, and Yogashri on LinkedIn. So I met them, I spoke to them about what I was interested in, and then we put this together under about 3 weeks. I mean, the support, the motivation, the passion I could sense from them. I've not met any of them, all virtually, but then, I mean, this has been a success. So the myth that women are not, it's not good to work with women, or women are not great mentors, I mean, that is just a myth. You've not sourced for the right person. I see a couple of people dropping their LinkedIn handles on the chat section. You might want to take advantage of that. And we have come to the end of this session. So if you have questions, just drop them in the chat section, where I will take a 1-minute concluding remark from each of the panelists, and then we'll address your questions as much as we can and come to an end. So Ochie, we'll start with you. Any last words for us before we go into the Q&A?
Yes, again, I want to say thank you for inviting me to this very inspiring panel. I think as much as I've spoken, I've also learned quite a lot. And that's what I enjoy about these panels as well. You give a bit and then you get a lot back as well. But just to underscore the point that Winifred made is that we all have to we have a hand to play. We have something to do. Each of us should be the change that you want to see. It's not left to Winifred or Nihal or myself alone. We're only maybe a few steps ahead of you, but really and truly we need that support from behind, because once many people are doing, put their hands together, then we'll see the support, the real progress that we are making. I also want to underscore the importance of societies like, I talked about women in engineering, we've talked about Society of Petroleum Engineers, we've talked about EAGE, we've talked about AAPG, and so on and so forth. And many of these associations are also a breeding ground for women's leadership. I don't like to define myself by my job or what I've done in the office or what I achieved in the office or whatever, or at my place of work. What I prefer to really, I think when I close my eyes, what I really, really hold dear to my heart is the work that I do for the volunteers, is the volunteerism that I've done, is the people who I've helped out or advised or counseled or mentored. So that's where I get my motivation from. That's where I get my inspiration from. And I want to say that if you aren't doing that already, then find a way to start, connect with other people. Even though you are looking up to us, there are also people looking up to you as well. So pull them up as well. Support them as well. That's how we all get better. Thank you.
Okay, so Winifred, concluding remarks from you, please. Do you have any for us?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me and for sharing my passion. Just to conclude, the fourth industrial revolution, one of the key characteristics of it is that it is people-centric. It's people-centered. So it's using the gains of the first, second, and third revolution to serve people. That is why you have artificial intelligence, you have so much cloud, you have IoT, Internet of Things, and so on and so self-driving car. Now, because we are serving people, what do women do? Naturally, women serve people. We are caregivers. We serve our husbands. We serve we take care of our children. We are caregivers. So naturally, this fourth industrial revolution has opened the door so wide for us. If you look at the engineering, the systems engineering design process, it has been changed that at the beginning of the process, empathy is what starts the whole process, unlike in the past. And what do women have? A lot of empathy, the average woman. So you see, society, technology is in our favor. Technology has broken all the silos to tell us that we should enter. They've given us the key. So there really is no excuse for us not to be players on the stage. So I want to encourage everybody to take ownership of getting educated. My 84-year-old mother now knows how to use Zoom to connect with us because of COVID. So nobody can sit at home and not know technology. So I want to encourage everybody that there is a space. There's no more crab mentality, macho mentality. There's a space for a woman on the table. And if you want to pick up some leadership skills, join me for leadership training in WITI, Women in Technology International. We have lots of events to help you hone your leadership skills, because it's because of lack of leadership training for tech professionals. That's why a woman comes across as bossy, just because she knows that she has the technical content, but navigating the workforce is a totally different ball game, and you need to be intentional about growing your skills. So join me so that you have the technical skills, you have the leadership skills, and you are a game changer. You can build peace in the world. Thank you for this time here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for joining us, Winifred. We really appreciate you. So, Nihal, do you have any remarks for us?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me alongside these amazing women. I think what we proven today and what we are trying to say is that you can have glass slippers, but you still can't shatter the glass ceiling, right? So one thing that I want to emphasize on, it's part of the 4 C's of leading a change is to have the courage. You have to have the courage to make things happen. It's not as important as having power. For example, Gandhi did not have the power, but he had the courage. Malala did not have the power, but she had the courage, and they were able to make great change in the world. So you can do that. I want to share just a very small story about someone called Sheila Jordan. I met this person when I was doing my internship at Silicon Valley in California. This person is the CTO, which is Chief Technology Officer of Honeywell. It's a huge company. And she's not an engineer. Her background is journalism. And she said, just apply for the job. You might get it. So keep applying and be also, as everyone says, be the change you want to see in the world. One more thing, just you need to understand your strengths and work on them and be indispensable, because there's only one of you. No one can be like you, and just stand out. You deserve it. And yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nihal, for that. So we'll just take a couple of questions before, and just to inform every youth brief networking session at the end of the we'll be having the breakout rooms. If you want to stay back, just indicate in the chat section. So onto the Q&A session. The first question we have is from Iyano. So she said, thank you for the session. So first is Winifred. How does one mentor in STEM who may not be in the oil and gas industry, and what networking opportunities are there to connect physically, such as conferences or meetings? And she's still not clear about the environmental sustainability question. Ian, maybe you can contact us. We'll take that offline. Ms. Winifred, please, can you answer the first? I don't know if you again, we got it, I should come again.
You were kind of breaking in and out. Can you repeat that question again? Or does she have it written?
Okay. So yeah, she has it written in the chat section. but let me just read. But she doesn't have it. She sent it.
Okay.
How does men in STEM and not in the gas industry opportunities are there to connect such?
No.
Karen, you're really breaking.
You are breaking up.
Maybe you should take another.
Dupe,
Maybe you should take another question.
No, I mean, Dupe, can you repeat the question? Can you say the question, because it's an internet?
The question. I don't think the question is in the chat room. I think it was sent to her privately. But we have more questions in the chat room.
Okay, I just sent it to the chat room.
Okay. How does one find mentors in STEM who may not be in the oil and gas industry? And what networking opportunities are available to connect physically, probably conferences or meetings?
Oh, great. That is an excellent question. When I entered this space, which is a safe and healthy space, one of the first things I did was to put in my LinkedIn so you could connect with me. But then I also encourage you to do the same. You've got to be intentional. Growth requires intentionality. Nobody is going to spoon feed you. So I encourage you, and that created the momentum. So if you want a mentor, you've got to go out of your way to actually reach out to the person. But you've got to have Simon Sinek wrote a book, Start With Why. You've got to ask yourself, why do you want the person to be your mentor? Does this person have the same values? Does the person have a career trajectory that aligns with your own career trajectory? So you've got to have like at least 10 reasons why you have chosen that person. And once you have that and you are settled, you are in a place of peace. I know somebody talked about peace. I know Effiom was a person, but once you've done that, then you go forward. One of the characteristics of a female engineer, because she solves problems, she's got to be resilient. She has to be able to use her initiative. Those are characteristics. You see a problem in the community and you want to solve it. You've got to use your initiative. You have to build your team. So somebody else talked about courage. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. Once you see somebody who can add value to you, but you see, you just go out there. I have role modeled it for you, actually, without you asking the question. Send out your LinkedIn. Reach out to somebody. Karen reached out to me. I'm not sure where Karen found me, but Karen reached out to me, and I was like, "Oh my God, you want me to talk about my passion? Do you have 5 hours? Of course I can. Of course I will do it." So that's exactly what it requires. Find somebody whose values line up with yours. Values is so important, because if the person is going to mentor you, the person is going to be transferring their values, their way of being to you. So make sure that your values are aligned so that there's synergy and there's harmony. I do I mentor with so many organizations, and one of the first things I do is to transfer my values to them. So there are steps that you have to go through, but there are so many people, so many experienced professionals that are looking for people to mentor. So I hope that answers your question. And you can come to Witty Charlotte, and you will find females that are in this part of the world who are looking for people to mentor. I hope I've sold Witty Charlotte to you enough. I've talked about it every time I've talked about it.
Yes, you have. Oh, yes, you have.
But I think I want to piggyback on that. If I may, please, I want to piggyback on something that she said, which is that it's about intentionality. So, and I find it very odd because people reach out to me maybe on LinkedIn or somehow or the other and says, "Oh, I want to be my mentor." I say, "Okay, fantastic. What area of mentoring do you need? What kind of?" And it's just like no answer. So for me, it's very difficult, especially with someone who I don't know. If I know you personally, then that's different. I can even suggest some or two things, but you can, and it doesn't have to be one person. You can have a number of mentors. Like I think she mentioned that you have a number of mentors for different reasons, because each of them has a different strength. So on this question of mentoring, I want to underscore being intentional, knowing what you want to get out of the relationship, and also to recognize that if you have chosen the right mentor, the onus on maintaining that relationship is on you, because you are the one that wants to seek, that's trying to seek. So you need to be very clear on what it is that you want to gain out of that. Thank you. I just wanted to chip that in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to add something. In finding a mentor, find someone who raised the bar very high for you. So when you reach your goal, you know there is more to go. Don't settle for someone that will say, yeah, you're great, just stay there. No, just, go for it, because be greedy. This is the word, be greedy, because good things will happen.
All right, thank you.
Before you move on, can I just add something? It just came to me. Just to educate you, there's a difference between a mentor and a coach. A mentor is relationship based. A mentor is somebody who comes alongside you. A mentor is somebody who is walking with you through your journey in your career. A coach is different. A coach is very performance driven. A coach helps you achieve goals. And so the relationship with a mentor is more long term, but a coach is very focused and it's very short term. It's about, this is what I want to achieve. I want you to hold me accountable, and I want you to help me come up with tools for me to achieve my goals. So I just wanted to throw that out in case somebody doesn't know the difference between a coach and a mentor.
Okay, thank you very much.
So thank you for Winifred. So there was a question, but Ochie answered it already. So I'll just read it out and read the response. So it's from Amber Sturrock, and she says, how similar do you feel gender bias and gender gaps are globally similar within the energy industry? Do you feel that women in Nigeria actually face similar challenges in the US or Malaysia, for example? And Ochie gave a response saying there are very similar problems that women in Nigeria share with the rest of the world, especially around personality types, motherhood, and so on. However, Nigeria is still a patriarchal society, so the biases may be stronger and more obvious than in countries like in the US. Thanks for that answer. I hope that's your question. So the next question is from Janet, and she says she's a YP that's about to graduate from school, presently 100 level. How can I have in the and without being do you want to answer that question?
Karen, you have to take the question again. You're breaking. Yeah.
Okay, so Janet is the 500 level, 100 level, and she wants to start her tree. It's rejected.
Karen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Ochie, can you hear me?
I don't think they can really hear you.
No,
the line was breaking.
Can't. Yes.
So let me just read out the question. Okay.
Okay, so
yes.
Esther, just moderate the question.
Yes. Send, ma'am, as a YP who is about to graduate presently in 500 level, please, can I start my journey in the energy industries as an intern without being rejected? How can I start my journey in the energy industry as an intern without being rejected?
Okay. Okay. Maybe I can take a stab at that.
Yeah.
I think Nihal said before, was it Nihal or Yogashri that said, you fail fast, you will fail. There are times where you're not going to be the best, and you're not going to always succeed. So I think starting off with a mindset of saying, I don't want to get rejected, it already puts you in a mindset that you don't want to try. You have to be okay with being rejected, with being told no. Not that you say okay and then you give up, but you have to be ready to not get it. I didn't get the first job that I applied, or the first 10 jobs that I applied for. I don't always get the jobs that I applied for. So there are many things that I tried for several scholarships. I didn't get them. I tried for, even within the companies that I've worked for, changing roles I mentioned changing roles from geology to more of project management and all that. I didn't always get it. I didn't get it initially, so you have to be okay with the fact that sometimes you will compete and you may not be the best at the time, but it's how many times you can get up, improve yourself, and continue to try. This is not a journey of one and done. You can't just try one and say, okay, well, I tried and that's it. You have to really continuously up your game and continuously push your own boundaries. So in terms of asking, how do I start your journey in the energy industries, all of them have their websites. They all have their entry criteria. They all have, the process by which they do their recruitment. The first thing to do is go look at that. Go look at what the criteria is. Do you fit the criteria? If they say they want only first class, are you already, if you're in 500 level, are you already in a first class? So are you already disqualifying yourself somehow or the other by not having what they've already asked for? If they're asking for maybe a master's, for example, as a 500 level, maybe you've not completed a master's, then obviously that if I want to work for this company, it means I need to think about doing a master's first. So those are the things. In terms of those steps, you have to go through those steps for yourself. Be as persistent and as tenacious as possible. Put your head down, look for as many of those opportunities, and everything is online. Just like Winifred said, everything is online. Now, nobody's doing paper applications anymore. It's all online. Everything you need to know, you would find it if you search the internet diligently enough. The internet is not only for Facebook and WhatsApp. You use it to actually find the information that you need to find. So that's just my comment, and happy to have the thoughts of the other panelists on it.
Yeah, can I share? So again, fail, then rise like Phoenix. Apply to everything. So let's do the math. I graduated in 2012 and I have 6 years of experience. This means that I had 3 years of unemployment. And let me tell you something, I was first class. I was fifth on my class. I worked in the uni for a while. In Egypt, when you graduate top of your class, you work as teaching assistant. And then I worked in a school teaching science to middle school. And then I found my job. See, so I actually have a folder. I can do a screenshot for you guys and send it to you, labeled rejections from each and every company in the world. And some of them I actually went to the interview part and they rejected me in the interview. They said I looked so tense. On the SPA front, I applied to YMEC, which is the Young Member Engagement Committee, and I was rejected 5 times. They did not select me. Let me tell you something. I am the YMEC International Chair in 2022. So just fail, then rise like Phoenix. Thank you.
Wow. I would like to add to that, but from a different perspective. I mean, I finished summa cum laude over 30 years ago. I have 2 kids. One is in Stanford, one is going to Princeton. But you see, those are just labels. They're just mental constructs, You've got to ask yourself why. I have to recommend you read Simon Sinek's book, because when you understand why you want something, then you begin to come up with a vision of how you can achieve it. Because the person who is working in an oil and gas or doing all of this is not necessarily in a better place emotionally or mentally than you. So ask yourself, why do I want to go and work in that company? I worked in Schlumberger for a couple of years. I think that was over in 1988 for 3 years. And it was not a good fit for me at all. I went back to school and I did a master's in telecoms and I went into telecoms. So you've got to ask, you've got to be very clear. I talk a lot about growth requires intentionality. It also requires clarity. You've got to lead yourself with vision because there are so many opportunities. COVID and the internet makes remote work possible. So you may find that your personality, what you want for your life and your family better fits an industry that may not be petroleum engineering. I don't want you that you cannot get a first class to start to feel like you are not good enough. A first class is just, yes, it kind of shows that you are good with academic, but there's more to life than academic, you know. So I know for my daughter, I had to slow her down and send her to Spain to learn Spanish. Because there are so many, I mean, that is what the fourth industrial revolution is. There are so many ways to actually fulfill your passion. So ask yourself why. Once you know why, you come up with a great vision for yourself, let that propel you forward so that when you fail, it's the vision that is going to cause you to rise up again. So I don't want anybody to feel that my grade defines me. Your grade does not define you. Even if you got a third class, you can still work in an industry that you are destined to work in. So don't put too much pressure on yourself, because this is a lifetime journey. I'm so much older than all of you, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning with my QC girls. It's a lifetime journey. So doesn't matter. Your first class will open a door, but it's just a degree. There are so many things that open doors. I work in the high schools. I partner with people in the high schools who have 4.6 GPA, and they don't want to go to college. They don't want to go to a university. They want to go to a community college because of the family situation. They need to go to work to make money for their family. So there's no one size fits all. So don't put yourself in a box. Don't put yourself in a box. There's so many opportunities for you. So I want you to feel encouraged, inspired, and empowered that the sky is the limit. You just have to be courageous enough to keep pushing forward. And don't, you know, so I really wanted to add that, you know, so that we don't start getting into first class and all those labels. Okay? I hope I'm talking to somebody there.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. So I'll take the next question from the chat room. Okay, someone said, I am roots and passionate about becoming a subsea engineer, though I am making a proactive effort toward my career path. I haven't been able to really create a niche in my current job, which isn't much female domineering as the place I am going. So my question is, what can a woman do to create a niche when working in a male-dominated field or moving to such profession? I am using drilling as an example for such profession. So,
Okay, I think you're already unique because you're the only female, right? This is something to build on. As I said before, be indispensable. Let me tell you like a little story. You won't know what you're really good at and what's your strength until you practice that. So I practice lots of leadership roles within SP, and I know my greatest strength point that I'm creative. I'm not as organized, but I'm creative. I've worked with Yoshi and someone was here also called Amber. They're super organized. So I would create the idea and they would like refine it for me. If you heard of the series that's called SPE Stay Strong, that was launched recently with COVID-19, this was my idea. So again, what I'm getting at is focus on your strength and build on it and be indispensable. So when they want someone for this job, your name will come up immediately. And you have a privilege that you're the only female. So you're already there, you're already unique.
okay, I think I'll take the last question here. Okay, so someone said, I am basically the only female in my department. My colleagues hardly allow me to do any job. This is frustrating and do not give opportunity to learn things I really long to. I started doing some development on Coursera, EDX, and some with New Horizon, but it gets frustrating as most times I am not able to use the skills. My company basically have a habit of playing politics in every role and work. I need a guidance on how this as it is not helping me rise in my career, or should I look somewhere else? Okay, I think that's the question.
Okay, so I'll give that a stab. I'll give that a stab there. Um, and as we were talking, I was just imagining myself in your position where you are the only female in the department, or maybe you're even the youngest or something, and then they share the work, everybody gets their work, and then you don't have anything, and so on and so forth. Now there must be a reason why they're paying you, and you still remain in that same company. It's right these days where companies are trying to downgrade, but you still have a job, which means that there's still something that you can add there. There are values that you can add there. You can start off by offering to help. So not everybody, people can't always be in two places at the same time. So provide support. You can start off by being a supportive person. Support your team. Go to somebody and say, oh, let me learn from you. Sometimes you have to take a step back and maybe take a different approach. If you've been trying a combative approach before, or a demanding approach before, and that hasn't helped, or that hasn't given you the solution, then you try a different approach. Let me help you. Let me ask a question. What are you doing? Oh, this looks interesting. What does this mean? Let me do this part. Let me, something, that kind of thing. Everybody likes, when somebody's is helpful around them, wants to help them get their job done. It's not about you trying to maybe seek glory for yourself at this time, but it's to just, find a way to let them. And I think when people behave like that, when people start to create niches for themselves, is because they might already be trying to protect themselves. They already know that you have something, and if they give you a little bit, maybe you take it and shine more than they are. Maybe there's someone's feeling intimidated there. So at this stage, because you don't have another job yet, you can start looking for another job. But while you are there, use a different approach to support people, such that you can also gain some experience and get some learning from them. That's the advice that I would have, without knowing the details of the kind of work that you're talking about and the kind of ways that the work is being shared. You can also maybe talk about going to the person who does the work allocation and say, why don't you allocate something to me? Let's start with this. Okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and then sell yourself a little bit more. Maybe they don't know what you're capable of as well. So that's another way to look at it. So that's just what I would say from this perspective. Yeah.
Can I just add to what she said? That was great counsel. I just want to commend you, whoever the person who put the question, just the effort that you are putting in educating yourself. You're doing courses in Coursera or Horizon. So that is really very commendable, because when you work in a toxic environment where you are being minimized, which I want you to realize that is the story of a lot of female, and especially when we start our career. So don't think it's only you. And that's why I want to make you very aware that when we all started, we had to find our voice. We had to know how to negotiate our way to get projects and to make our work visible. So the journey you are traveling, I want you to know it's a typical journey. So don't magnify the problem, minimize it. It's a continual journey for a female engineer. So you're doing a great thing. You are educating yourself. Use that as a time to learn. You can learn soft skills. Even if they don't want to get you onto technical projects, you can learn teamwork, you can learn collaboration, you can learn presentation, you can learn how to communicate. You can learn how to communicate in a way that you actually develop allies. A female needs an ally in the tech workforce, because the tech workforce is full of males. So in order to make it an inclusive environment, you've got to develop relationships. Life is all about relationships. You have to use this as an opportunity where you're not burdened so much with technical projects to develop develop relationships with guys, and when they become your friend, all of a sudden you find that they begin to pass work to you. So this is a time for you that life is asking you to develop some other skills that you're going to need further down when you're much older. So don't feel frustrated. This is the story of a female engineer, and it gets better. It gets better. You just have to know the tools that you need in order to navigate a tech workforce. And that is different from another workforce because you are always a minority. So frustration is the wrong emotion. The right emotion is joy because they are giving you the bandwidth to do additional training. You are not so bogged down with so much technical work. And when the time is right, you will begin to show your skills will show up, you know. So just begin to develop allies, begin to develop a board around you. People will support you, a coach, a mentor, a champion who can brag on you, and doors will begin to open up for you. So I just want to commend you with the effort that you are currently making. So I hope that has encouraged you.
Okay, thank you for answering the question. I hope the person who asked the question has already gained insight and knowledge of what you said. So I think someone asked a question that, thank you so much for the panel discussion. Please, can women secure funds to pursue higher education? This seems like a major challenge and barrier to most of us women who have good academic background and would like to further their education. Or are there other ways to get into the industry without higher education?
Okay, so for engineers, it's not really necessary to have masters or PhDs. If you have them, that's super, of course, but you can actually be in the industry without having anything like that. So you can apply for a Shell graduate program. I know BP has one, the Challenger program, and so on and so forth. Also, the opportunities for field engineers in Schlumberger, Baker Hughes, Halliburton, and so on. With the current situation, if you want to pursue something that is related to higher education, you can apply, of course, for Chevening in the UK, Fulbright in the US. There are, I think, something that is tailored to Nigeria. I know someone who took it and went to Imperial College of London. He's actually also the president of the SPE chapter at Imperial College of London. His name is Promise. He took some sort of Shell internship, scholarship or something. So you could totally Google that and you'll find lots of things. And if you need any advice on how to write your essays and stuff like that, you can reach out to me and I can help you with that.
Okay, thank you very much. Karen, over to you. Yes.
Okay, so thank you to all the panelists. The session today has been very engaging, and some of the panelists have to go, but we'll be having a breakout session. So if you want to, connect more, for those of us that want to join EAGE, you want to find out more. So we'll be creating a breakout session where you can come and share your concerns. Also, I mean, a lot has been flogged on the importance of good associations and the benefits you can get from engaging with them. The EAGE is a very good platform, and we have a plethora of activities for young professionals. We have webinars regularly where we bring industry experts to come and teach us new technical prowess. And just to let our panelists know that I'll be reaching out to invite them for the webinar on the technical series. It would be good to have more women on board. So I think let's try to join and then maximize what we've gotten from today. So to each of the panelists, Ochie, Nihal, Yogashri, and Winifred, I want to say a very, very big thank you to each and every one of you, because just a reach out on, and each of you responded very promptly, very swiftly. And a quick story, right? So the way I reached out to them was actually, I went to one of my posts on LinkedIn that they had all liked. So I just checked through profiles of women that had liked my pictures and then decided to reach out to them. So I think it goes a long way saying the importance of building your profile, the importance of networking, and the importance of doing it right. So I urge each of you to join I don't know if Janet, you're online. You've been raising your hand for a while now. I don't know if you can voice over. Or Jenny, Janet. Okay. So I thank everyone for coming today. It has been a very beautiful experience. For those of us that have to go, the session has officially come to an end and go run along. But if you want to stay back, you want to discuss briefly on, how to maximize networking or LinkedIn, or how to join EAGE, know more about EAGE, you can just join the breakout rooms. So thank you everyone for joining. Janet, are you there?
Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Enjoy your breakout.
Enjoy your breakout session.
Thank you so much. Have a good breakout session.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Sorry, Mr. Thompson, please can you mute your mic? Or is it Mrs. Idoreni Thompson? Please can you mute your mic? We are hearing some kind of background music. So we're going to be having the breakout session now. I think Karen.
Okay, so Esther will be taking us on the overview of EAGE, and I'll be taking us on networking with LinkedIn. Prosper, can you confirm if you're still around? Hello, Prosper. Prosper is not here. Okay. So that means we'll have just 2 rooms. So Prosper was supposed to take us on volunteering, but we'll have just 2 rooms. So I'll be breaking everyone into 2 rooms, and I'll be breaking it automatically. So if you feel you don't want that room and you want another room, you can just comment in the chat section and I'll move you to another room. So I hope you enjoyed the breakout session. Thanks everyone for joining, and we look forward to, working with you in EAGE.
Karen, please, are you there? Please, I want to know if we are still in the breakout room or we are in the main session.
Modupe, we are in the main session. They've closed the breakout room.
Okay. Okay, I think other people are still in some breakout rooms. So I think we should just round up because of our time. So I'll invite Karen to just give us like a closing remark. But I want to really thank everybody for joining today's session. I mean, I was actually inspired by the panelists. They really like touched some things that were a bit tricky for me. So I want to really thank you guys for joining the session. So it's not only about joining the session and hearing things. Sometimes it's also about doing them and taking charge of your action, like taking full responsibility and be intentional about what you really want. So most of these sessions are actually very inspiring, very motivating. But what makes it more inspiring and motivating is if you like take action, if you like start working towards achieving your goals and your career plan. So basically that's just, well, I really want to really commend you guys for joining the session. So let me just like call Karen.
For those of us that are still on, thank you very, very much for joining. It's been a very, very enlightening process every step of the way, honestly. And I'll just bring up the last poll so we can okay, there was supposed to be another poll.
But please, after the session, there's going to be like a feedback form. So you guys can help us, like, is it like a survey? Yeah, I think a feedback form or survey. So you guys should please help us fill them so that we can know how to like do better and how to like do better do new things again. So just help us, like, if we are not good, just let us know. Like, we are open to constructive criticism. So just take out time to fill the form, because I know most YP after they finish program feedback form, they don't like to fill them. Please, we really want to like beg you guys to help us fill them so that we can do better and we can take it up from there. Okay, Karen, are you there? So
yeah, I'm here. I mean, the poll is still ongoing, so I want to post the link on the feedback form, the link for the feedback form on the chat section, so people can, you know, after the session, go and fill it up. so we can
Probably we'll send it to their mail too, so that they can.
Yeah, I'll do another mail blast.
Send to the mail and to Telegram and everything. Okay, John has sent the feedback form to the group, to the chat room. So we can send them mail and send it to the WhatsApp and Telegram for them to fill.
Okay, so please let's just fill the poll. Remaining 7 people online to fill, so we can just fill the poll and then we can come to an end. Thank you everyone for joining. It has really been engaging, and trust me, EAGE, I'm sure Esther already gave you the 411 for those of you that joined her session, but we have a lot of activities packed up. We have the quiz we organize a couple of Tuesdays in the month where the winner gets a prize. We have the petroleum engineering quiz, we have the geological sciences quiz. Aside from that, we also have webinars coming up. We have a couple lined up for September and August. And then we have a series of virtual classrooms to organize. We've done one on PowerPoint, we've done one on Excel, we've done one on Word. And the next one coming up sometime next month is going to be on Python. So you want to follow us on all our social media platforms, you want to join our Telegram group, you want to stay in touch and be informed so you can maximize from these opportunities. So thank you everyone, and it seems no one is filling the poll again. We can just come to an end today. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Karen. Is there refreshment? I think there's refreshment after the session.
Thank you very much, Karen.
There's buffet at the back, so
Whoa.
you can just take your biscuits, your rice, your chicken, and your cocktail before you.
That's awesome.
Virtual buffet.
Janet, sorry, I just saw your name. Janet, I hope you got your question answered. I know I was calling up on you to speak earlier, but you could not come up for the panelist discuss. Was your question answered?
People don't want to leave me. Session has ended though.
Okay, no problem then. Okay, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Karen, you'll be the last person to leave. Make sure you sweep everywhere and make sure you arrange
I'm leaving soon. I just want to take a screenshot of the polling results so I can share with the ESCOs. I'm leaving now, and once I leave, the meeting will end for everybody.
Make sure you arrange the chairs and the tables before you leave.
Sure. I will.
John, I saw your update on the oh, Jen, I love you too. John, I saw your update on the group, really engaging. I'm so happy you were able to take precepts from the
John
session.
John will like woman. He said it's
John, I think
women's program.
It's
women's program. Women's program.
You can use it to form like an interview discussion or a panel discussion for the editorial, so you can highlight who spoke, their comments, key take notes, put them in big boxes and stuff like that. I can work with you if you need. No, I cannot work with you, but if you need additional insight,
please work with me, please.
Explain better what. No, please, no.
Okay. We very much appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't just do it alone. Some persons from my team helped out too. Yeah. I'll reach out to you. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm sure your is more than capable.
John is still owing us something. But I'm not pleased. But we'll say it in the ESCO meeting.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming through. Thank you very much. You came in when
Thank
my
you
network
guys.
wanted to show
Oh,
that.
for you
See
people
now,
that are still around, just let us know. We'll give you your data so that you can just enjoy.
Yeah.
Bye.
we've not paid our Zoom money yet, but it's okay.
Eh? Karen, what did you say?
Nothing. Bye. Take care, everybody. Good night. I'm ending the
Yeah.
meeting now.